Hi, I'm Gina Clarke. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Fintech Times, and today I'm here at Money 2020 live from Amsterdam.
Hi, I'm Jackie Barwell. I'm with ACI Worldwide, and I'm looking forward to the interview with Fintech Times.
Thanks, Jackie. So what have the last 12 months looked like for ACI Worldwide?
I want to focus very specifically on how we've supported our customers, very specifically with the fraud solutions that we offer them. So we have a huge range of merchants who use our solutions, as well as banks and acquirers. And the last 12 to 18 months has been a whirlwind of needing support really from ACI. So we've focused on looking after those customers. The patterns of payment behaviours changed overnight. The change to more of a cashless society was coming, but it was so accelerated by the pandemic, and the payment behaviours of our customers' changed so dramatically that suddenly using the parameters that they had in place to prevent fraud was actually making all of their customers look like fraudsters. So overnight they had to really change everything, and so we've focused the last 12 to 18 months on supporting those customers and making those changes.
And what do you think are some of the challenges and opportunities going forward in the industry right now?
I think it's the pace of change. I think we're probably so much further forward in that change pace now than we would have been had it not been for the pandemic. But I think it's also opened up new ideas, innovation, and so before we know it, there are going to be so many more payment types coming on the market that we haven't even thought of yet, that are, they're in their infancy. And I think this is going to be the industry's biggest challenge, is how do we, especially from a fraud prevention point of view, understand what those changes are going to be, preempt them, understand how the new fraud vectors are going to look like. Are the fraudsters going to find those weak spots before we do? I think these challenges have always existed, and it's always been a cat and mouse game with the fraudster anyway, but I think this is accelerating, and I think that's our biggest challenge.
And technology is of course always changing, so are you excited about any developments in technology at the minute?
Yes, I think there's change in technology, but there's also change in the expectation of the consumer. And I think one of the biggest expectations or the change that's coming is the widespread use of faster payments, immediate payments, everything happening in real time. And I think our expectations as consumers is driving the behaviours of the banks. And I think technology, yes, is always going to be new technologies coming on board. And there's also going to be the need of new capabilities, which involves new technologies, things like identity capabilities. And so as these new payment types come on board, even if they're brand new, it's the possibility of not having the capability to prevent fraudsters from getting in is always going to be one of our bigger challenges to overcome. And I think over time we'll probably see a lot more partnerships developing with people that have developed in certain types of technology, partnering with the more traditional fraud prevention capabilities and monitoring capabilities, so that this can be a seamless transition for both the banks, the acquirers, the merchants and the consumer.
I think partnerships is a really important development. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the industry at the moment, what would you say are the key concerns?
The key concerns for the industry, I think it's the creation of flexibility, because flexibility is the expectation of the consumer. And as we know, the expectation of the consumer is what drives how we serve those consumers. So I think flexibility is one of the concerns, that how flexible are our solutions and our payment types and our ability to serve the customers. And part of that flexibility involves geographical flexibility in combination with regulation geographically. How flexible really are we as an industry? So I think this is where the cloud comes in, and ACI have got a partnership, an amazing partnership that was created before the pandemic, but actually has really blossomed because of the pandemic, and that's our partnership with Microsoft and their cloud capability.
Excellent. And I guess before the pandemic, like you say, it's the acceleration of change. Where did you think we would be? Did you ever think we would be this far forward in such a short space of time?
Yes and no, because the speed of change was quick anyway. I think what we have seen is a huge shift to a very specific type of payment need from the consumer because their hand was forced. I think only time will tell when we get settled down to the new normal what that balance will look like. It may not be 100% shopping online. Certainly me personally, I've tried my hand at going to a brick and mortar store recently, and to be honest, I didn't really enjoy the experience like I used to. So, is this change here for good? Is the change 100% and is it going to stay here for good? I don't know.
And today we're here at Money 2020. What do you hope to achieve from your visit here?
Really to open the eyes of the industry, if I can, to the thought process around what we've learned from the pandemic. When you look at what happened in the pandemic, the globe was threatened, and the globe decided they needed to get together and fix it. And they did. They had all the scientists from all over the world that worked for Pfizer, that worked for Moderna, that worked for AstraZeneca. They took their hats off as individual company scientists and they got together. The Americans got together with the French and the Dutch and the English, and we took our individual geographical hats off and we got together, and within 3 months they had pulled their knowledge, which they had a huge amount of, into a baseline, and that baseline then provided the capability to go away and create that vaccine. And they all individually went away and they created their own individual spin on it, but they started with that baseline, and that was because of the collaboration. We should learn a lesson in fraud for the industry. We should collaborate at that level without competition and get to that baseline. And then there's room for competition, right? You can go away and you can create your Moderna vaccine and your AstraZeneca vaccine and your Pfizer vaccine. But until we get that level of collaboration, get to that baseline, we're always going to be blinkered. We're always going to think we can do it by ourselves, and we can't.
Well, thank you so much for joining me here at Money 2020.
Thank you.